From 1975 to 1979, I was teaching in Langley, which is a small community just about 20 miles east of Vancouver.
It is the Bible Belt of Canada, I think. All kids basically were involved in some sort of church organization. Langley consisted of one main drag with a movie theater, small grocery store, and the feed store was right downtown. And it wasn't uncommon actually to see people riding their horses.
I was shocked that my father had hired the guy. He wasn't the collar and tie and wasn't the short-haired, white bread and mayonnaise kind of guy that a lot of the teachers tried to be at the time. The best way I could describe him was he looked like a musician rather than a music teacher.
He was a hippie, had the long hair, the flowered shirts. I think he drove a Volvo.
I remember thinking that, wow, that's so cool. We have a teacher that doesn't wear a tie.
It was like, who is that, This guy's gonna teach us music? Who is he? Looks like a rock star or something.
I had a young family. I needed a job. I needed to find a more regular source of income. And I found myself suddenly in a classroom with a lot of children and no idea what to do.
Some of the older teachers weren't quite sure about this new approach and so on to teaching music.
I didn't come up through music courses in school. I never sang in a school choir. I never played in the school band. I played in rock bands. And my approach to music comes from that experience. I wanted to have the children be musical. I wanted very much to have them feel the same kind of love and passion for music that I had.
It took a while for us to get used to him because, you'd always have your music class would be some teacher with a beehive hairdo singing Bingo was his name, and you're sitting there going, oh God, and all of a sudden this guy with long hair comes in and he's teaching you how to sing Bowie songs.
I loved the Beach Boys, and the first song that popped into my head was Help Me Rhonda. It had that very easy little harmony part that was very simple to kind of teach, almost like cheerleading. They loved it. It became really the focus of the school, I think. They wanted to do music all day. They loved to practice on Sundays.
Be after-school practices, and after a while we thought, this is serious stuff. We're actually working hard on something.
A friend of mine had a tape recorder, and I said to him, it would be cool to come and record my students, just for fun. And we'll record them in the gym. It was very spur of the moment.
I just remember the day that it all happened, being in the gym with everybody and them setting up their studio in the kitchen in the gym, and it was a great feeling. I loved that day.
In this day and age, anybody can go home and make their own CD. They got CD burners, you get a microphone plugged in the back of your computer, you're Moby. Back then you didn't do that kind of stuff. You couldn't. But it wasn't actually until we saw the equipment being loaded in, we thought, oh my God, this is serious stuff.
In the morning, I think when we all walked in, it was, wow, seeing all this setup going on. You were a bit nervous.
There was the choir set up in the center of the gym. I think it was in 3 or 4 tiers. Everybody was sized. So the younger kids were in the front and the older kids were in the back.
I really remember it being hot because we were in there for a long time.
I just remember it was hot because one of the guys in the back row fainted and passed off the back bleachers.
Yeah, Doug Kitzel taking a header off the back bench. You were singing away and then all of a sudden you just heard a thunk.
I just remember it being very quiet and everyone watching hands like a hawk, just going, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It was very animated, and he was using his head, I guess, and his body movements and walking back and forth to let the kids know when it was their turn to go and that kind of thing.
Hands, when he was cueing people in, he would run at you and stick his head out. That was your cue. You're in.
That is my biggest memory of him, is running around. He's got his guitar strapped on him, and he's running over here and he's cueing as he's strumming, and he's running over here, full of energy, just absolutely full of energy.
So we went and recorded it. It was all done in one take, no mixing, none of that. And then I took the tapes down to a little pressing plant where they did church groups. I believe the original pressing of the album was about 200.
Yeah, I remember they handed them all out and everybody's like, where am I? Where am I? They want to see where they are on the album cover, right? Like, where am I? Where am I?
That day was a horrible day, only because everybody had these great shots on the album, and the shot of me, I guess the light hit my nose funny and it gave me a pig nose, so I was really upset.
The album in Langley was one of a kind, and it was a time in my life that I couldn't duplicate. I could never be a first-year teacher again. But the album, I think, was very much of its time and of its place.
In the 1970s, a music teacher in British Columbia recorded his students performing, and as a keepsake, he made vinyl copies of the recording for everyone in the class.
I was watching a news program and they were saying a bunch of kids in Langley, and whoop, a graphic of the album came up and I sat up and I went, oh my God, I was on that record.
My mom called me and said, you've got to get the Vancouver Sun. There's a thing in there about your album. I'm like, what album? I can't believe it's gotten where it has. I mean, it was just a bunch of kids singing songs.
Over the years, you just, you know, you tucked it away and thought it was really special and you thought about it periodically, but not like we are right now.
And Donna was one of the very few students probably that stayed in music, has been sort of gigging since she was 17, 18 years old.
I always wanted to sing, and I feel that his encouragement told me to keep going because I always wanted to be a singer.
Today, I'm very happy to have my friend Darla come and sing with you. Darla sang in the choir that I had when she was your age. And now she's a singer and she sings all over the world. And one of her favorite songs in the entire earth was the song Fernando. And I said, I have the best grade 4 class that can sing this. The music teaching I do now, I use the same approach that I used in Langley. I sometimes use different material. Many of the students I teach now speak English as a second language. Now I'm going to give you a big secret. How many of you speak another language? Hands up. The people who wrote that song couldn't speak English very well. There is probably no better way to have people understand each other than to have them make music together. As cliche as it is to say it's a universal language, it's in fact the truth.
With the re-release of our record 25 years later, we had an idea that it would be fun to get everyone together for a reunion.
Of all the things so far that have happened to me in this entire project, I think the thing that I'm most looking forward to is seeing all these kids again. I think it's going to be a fabulous experience.